Whoops, just realized I was muted. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome to Sabby Sab Show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I'm so excited. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm so pumped for the weekend. I want to give a quick shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, and Twitter. And I want to give a couple of shout outs to people in the chat. So welcome all. Shout out to CBC Voters says, happy Friday, Sabby Sabs. Happy Friday to you too. Whoop, whoop. Shout out to Lawrence Johnson. Always great to see you, says Senator BS. Shout out to a non-user, Will Coop, whoever we want, Lithium Boy, Union Buster, vote GOP. Who'da thunk? Oh gosh. What's going on? Zap Zen says reformist equals loyalist. What's going on, X39? Republican or Democrat? What's the difference? They both support America's aggressive foreign policy and regime change wars. Shout out to Lexa Pro. Let's see what outside campaign she can run. F these Dems, to be honest. Oh man, the comments are pretty rough. Shout out to Pitchforks Are Coming. Hello from Ottawa, Canada. Well, welcome. What's going on, Sweary Fairy says, hey, fam. Shout out to Savvy Sav. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hello. Greetings, Bryce says, sup, everyone. What's going on? Kyle says, yeehaw. Shout out to Zach Davis says, hi, Sabby. Greetings, Notori sends her love. Shout out to Jenna Colby who says, hi, smile, love. Greetings, Denise says, happy Friday, everybody. Shout out to Sebastian says, hey. Eric Gray, what's up? Hey, everybody. And most of my students didn't give a damn today. So yeah, my classes were quiet for the most part. Interesting. What are we talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Let's go ahead and get into it. Interesting stories here. So tonight, we'll be discussing Nina Turner debunks Bernie Sanders. What is that about? What did Bernie Sanders say? And what is Nina saying in response? So I'll get to that. And I'm also going to discuss Elon Musk voting Republican. Ouch. What made that come about? So I'll go ahead and get into those two stories tonight. So let's go ahead and get started with Elon Musk. So I don't know if you guys have heard this yet, but Elon Musk is basically saying that he's going to be voting Republican this time around. I didn't even know he was voting Democrat before, really didn't. But I want to show you two parts of this. First, I'm going to show you the clip from Fox News that announces exactly what I just told you. And then I'm going to show you the other part of that clip, that interview with Elon Musk, that Fox News leaves out of their segment. Surprise, surprise. So let's go ahead and get to this clip. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Case Study QB, always doing excellent work. So shout out to Case for that. So Case Study says Fox Business says that Elon Musk says he will vote Republican in the next election. So let's hear the way that Fox News describes this story. And then I'm going to show you the pieces that they leave out. So surprise that they would do that, right? Let's go ahead and get this going here. And here we
So I'm sure you heard yesterday afternoon, Elon Musk said he's going to be voting Republican for the first time ever in the next election, tweeting that the Democrats have become the party of, quote, division and hate. Hillary Vaughn is live on Capitol Hill with the very latest. He said he was going to get reactions, and he has, right, Hillary?
So I just want to chime in here for a second. I want you to remember that part right there where they said the Democratic Party has become the party of division and hate. Just remember that. All right, let's go back in.
That's right, David. He has been getting reaction. In fact, he tweeted today that he was right in predicting that there was going to be a lot of reaction coming in following this announcement. But he did tweet this yesterday, and he said, quote, "In the past, I voted Democrat because they were mostly the kindness party, but they have become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them and will vote Republican." If Musk votes Republican in the midterm election, it would be his first time ever.
So that piece is interesting as well. She's saying that Elon Musk said that he's going to vote Republican. He used to vote Democrat because he saw them as the kindness party. What is a kindness party? What is he talking about? When was the Democratic Party kind? Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't get that at all. That was a little weird to me, but here we go.
I would classify myself as a moderate, and neither Republican nor Democrat. And in fact, I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically. Overwhelmingly, like I'm not sure. I might never have voted for a Republican.
Musk, over the past few weeks, has publicly taken issue with specific Democratic policies, calling out the Biden administration for increased government spending that he said.
Let's go back to that part one more second. I want to hear this again, and then I'm going to chime in. There's something he says here that's a bit odd. Listen to this.
I would classify myself as a moderate, and neither Republican nor Democrat. And in fact, I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically. Overwhelmingly.
There's a problem here. Elon Musk just said he would look at himself as a moderate, not a Republican or a Democrat. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. The Democratic Party is not far left, if that's what he's assuming. A lot of networks have been putting that message out there, but they haven't passed any far left policies. And I always point to that as an example. That being said, if Elon Musk is a moderate, the Democratic Party, for the most part, is still moderate. Some would even argue the Democratic Party is still right wing, actually, just like the Republican Party. So I don't know if he meant to say an independent, that he looks at himself as an independent voter. That would make sense. But he said he looks at himself as a moderate, and that was just a little strange to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Let's go back in.
Like, I'm not sure. I might never have voted for a Republican.
Musk, over the past few weeks, has publicly taken issue with specific Democratic policies, calling out the Biden administration for increased government spending that he said triggered inflation we're seeing today, and also often publicly feuding with progressives who say he should pay more in taxes. Musk says today he wishes there was a more moderate party between the two, explaining this, quote, "This is what most people in America want, but unfortunately it's not realistic. Generally, the party with less power moves more toward the center to win moderate votes, so control of the House, Senate, and president goes back and forth over time." But of course, Republicans are cheering the news and taking it as a sign of good things to come for them.
There's another part here that I want to go ahead and speak about. When he mentions the progressives,
often publicly feuding with progressives who say he should pay more in taxes.
And that's what this is really about. It's about money. So Elon Musk often feuds with progressives because the progressives feel that he should pay more in taxes. He's a billionaire. He should pay more in taxes. Like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? You know how many kind of tax breaks people like Elon Musk get? He should pay more in taxes. Now, this goes back to the class issue, because this is something that I want to harp on for just a second. For Elon Musk, this isn't really about left versus right, even though he's portraying it that way. This is about money and class for Elon Musk. This is about the fact that he's someone who's a billionaire who still wants to hold tight onto his money, doesn't want to pay his fair share in taxes, a billionaire, as if he cannot afford to do so. That's how greedy and corrupt some of these billionaires and some of the millionaires are too. How can you have that much money and not want to pay your fair share in taxes? It's disgusting. But that's what this is really about for Elon Musk. It's about money. It has nothing to do with the fact that he feels like the Democratic Party used to be the party of kindness. There's no such thing. There is no party of kindness per se in this country. This is all about Elon Musk wanting to hold on to the money that he has and does not want to be held accountable for paying the amount of taxes that he should pay based on his income. This is about greed. This is about wealth. This is about corruption. That's what this is about. Let's go back into the video.
Musk says today he wishes there was a more moderate party between the two, explaining this, quote, "This is what most people in America want, but unfortunately it's not realistic. Generally, the party with less power moves more toward the center to win moderate votes, so control of the House, Senate, and president goes back and forth over time." But of course, Republicans are cheering the news and taking it as a sign of good things to come for them in November. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tweeting that Elon is not alone. It's nearly impossible to stand by and vote for today's radical Democratic Party. But some Democrats, though, are brushing off Musk's announcement. Senator Elizabeth.
See, this is something they're doing a lot, not just on conservative networks, but they're also saying this on the liberal news networks as well. This term that they keep referring to, radical Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is not radical at all. They are moderate at best, but they are not radical. And they're able to use that framing and get away with it because there are some progressives that are now in the Democratic Party. So they can always point to that and say, oh, look at how radical they've become. They're still saying that Joe Biden is radical while he's giving money to other countries instead of giving money to the American people right here at home. And people will believe it. There are people who watch this segment and will believe everything that they just said about the Democratic Party, even though data will show them otherwise. Because if we were really radical per se, we would at least have universal health care for everybody. We don't even have that. But we're radical. Please. Come on. Come on.
Elizabeth Warren telling me, who cares?
What political party they want to join, how they want to vote, that's up to them. What I care about is that we have a tax system that makes those guys pay their fair share.
Just quickly, last question. Are billionaires, are wealthy people welcome in the Democratic Party?
Look, anyone who believes in paying a fair share.
That is the dumbest question I have seen from a reporter in a long time. What do you mean? Are wealthy people welcome in the Democratic Party? Have you looked at the senators in the Democratic Party and how much they make? Joe Manchin, the wealthiest senator who's a part of the Democratic Party. You see how much Nancy Pelosi makes? Nancy Pelosi is a millionaire. That is a dumb question. And Elizabeth Warren here should have checked her framing. Listen to this again. Let's go back.
How they want to vote, that's up to them. What I care about is that we have a tax system that makes those guys pay their fair share.
Just quickly, last question. Are billionaires, are wealthy people welcome in the Democratic Party?
Look, anyone who believes in paying a fair share is welcome, in my view, in the Democratic Party. Of course, I celebrate success. I want to see people do really, really well.
But David.
And this is where Elizabeth Warren should have pushed back on her. Elizabeth Warren should have pushed back and she should have pointed to examples of people. Are you kidding me? Wasn't Mike Bloomberg running for president in 2020? They even changed the debate rules so that he could get on the debate stage. Hello, he's rich. That didn't make any sense. So now the framing that they're trying to use, now they're trying to make it seem like if you're wealthy, the Democratic Party does not welcome you. The Democratic Party welcomes money, period. Money. That's all they want. Are you kidding me? Stop making it seem like the Democratic Party, the people who are in DC, stop making it seem like they're all from like working class or poor neighborhoods or middle class. Those people are wealthy. I can't believe that. I really can't believe that. So this is the message they're going with now, you guys. It's always something. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty of criticisms for the Democratic Party. But to make it seem like they don't welcome money is some bullshit. I'm sorry. Let's go back in.
David, no second thoughts from some progressives that have made a point to call out billionaires like Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, for not paying enough, and also saying that they are the solution to get a lot of these Democratic policies that have been sidelined across the finish line. They're the way to come up with the money to pay for it and make it happen. David?
Well, she actually said at one point he didn't pay any taxes. He's paid $11 billion. I can't think of anybody, single individual, who's paid $11 billion in taxes. I mean, it's really extraordinary. All right.
Yeah. Now I want to show you what they left out. Now, again, they showed the part where Elon Musk said that he's thinking about voting Republican because the Democratic Party is no longer the party of kindness. That's not all Elon Musk said. I'm going to show you the rest of that interview. So again, this is another example of what they do when they're trying to frame the narrative. This is what they do. So here we go. God, they kill me with this. This drives me crazy. All right. Now, here is a longer clip from that interview with Elon Musk. More Perfect Union actually posted this. So let me play that full statement from Elon Musk because I want you to hear what else he said about the Democratic Party.
And I would class myself as a moderate, and neither Republican nor Democrat. And in fact, I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically. Overwhelmingly, like I'm not sure. I might never have voted for a Republican, just to be clear.
Right.
Now this election, I will. The Democratic Party is overly controlled by the unions and by the trial lawyers, particularly the class action lawyers. And generally, if you'll see something that is not in the interest of the people.
What was that? Let's hear that one more time. See, they cut it before that part. They didn't want you to hear that part. Let's hear it one more time.
The Democratic Party is overly controlled by the unions and by the trial lawyers, particularly the class action lawyers. And generally, if you'll see something that is not in the interest of the people, on the Democrat side, it's going to come because of the unions, which is just another form of monopoly, and the trial lawyers. That's where actions will be happening from the Democrat side. They're not in the interest of the people. And then, to be fair, on the Republican side, there's if you say like where there's something like not ideal happening, it's because of corporate evil and religious zealotry. But that's generally where the bad things will be coming from on the Republican side, that are not representative of the people. So in the case of Biden, he is simply too much captured by the unions, which was not the case with Obama. So in the case of Obama, you could have, he was sort of quite reasonable. And I think he took more of a view that, obviously you need to take the concerns of the unions into account, but there are bigger issues at stake. And unfortunately, Biden does not do that.
So why did Fox News not show you the part that came after that, where Elon Musk basically is telling you, and you can look at his history with Tesla as well, he's anti-union. That's what this is about. Elon Musk is anti-union. You had employees, black employees at Tesla that wanted to form a union. Elon Musk got rid of them. Let's hear this last part again. Here we go.
The Democratic Party is overly controlled by the unions and by the trial lawyers, particularly the class action lawyers. And generally, if you'll see something that is not in the interest of the people, on the Democrat side, it's going to come because of the unions, which is just another form of monopoly, and the
What? I think I saw you in here. Unions are a monopoly, ? Listen, Elon Musk doesn't like unions because Elon Musk doesn't want to give his employees actual real benefits that they deserve. He's greedy. That's how some of these billionaires are. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they're so greedy. They don't want to give the employees anything. Let him finish. He says something else.
The trial lawyers, that's where actions will be happening from the Democrat side. They're not in the interest of the people. And then, to be fair, on the Republican side, there's if you say like where there's something like not ideal happening, it's because of corporate evil and religious zealotry.
But he's willing to vote for corporate evil and religious zealotry. He's willing to do that. He has this so wrong. The Democratic Party is also corporate. Like, what? Oh my God. I can't believe this. He's making it seem like the Democratic Party is the party of unions and the working class. It's not the party of working class anymore. A long time ago, it used to be. That was a long time ago. And that the Republican Party, it's corporate and there's a lot of religious fanatics over there. Both parties are corporate. Now, he said, well, to be fair, also the Republican Party. So again, this goes back to the question that I continue to ask. Why are you voting in these two-party system? Why are you voting for either of these parties anymore at this point? They're both corrupt. They're both corporate. He's trying to make it seem like one is better than the other. And a lot of people do that, but they're not.
That's generally where the bad things will be coming from on the Republican side, that are not representative of the people. So in the case of Biden, he is simply too much.
What does Elon Musk know about what is representative to the American people? Elon Musk is not working class. He's not poor. He's not middle class. How does he know what people in those groups in this country actually need? He doesn't. He doesn't. This is why I continue to bring up the class issue. Elon Musk, he don't have to pay for daycare. He probably has a live-in nanny. So something like paid family leave, parental leave, those things aren't important to him. That doesn't matter. He doesn't need it. Pretty sure he has top-notch health insurance too. So when we say universal health care for everyone, again, that's not something that he needs. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Thank you for reminding me, David. Hit that like button, guys. That really does help us with the algorithm. So I know you guys hear that from CJ a lot, but I'm telling you too, because I forget to say that sometimes. Sebastian said Elon Musk is out here making babies. Yes, he has a baby. I think just one. But that's the thing with him. Like, he doesn't need these tangibles. He's rich. Now he goes on to say something about Biden, which even this isn't true. Here we go.
So Biden, he is simply too much captured by the unions, which was not the case with Obama. So
he said that Biden is too much captured by the unions. Look, Joe Biden likes to say he's this pro-union guy. Joe Biden just gave Amazon a government contract the same time when he was shaking hands with Chris Smalls. Chris Smalls, the activist who organized the first Amazon union in this country. Joe Biden, behind the activist's back, was giving money to Amazon. Thank you, Falconer. Biden hates the unions. Like what? Too captured by the unions? This guy has it so wrong. That's what drives me crazy. Like that people actually like take Elon Musk advice. Why are you listening to him? He's a billionaire. He doesn't have to work hard. He exploits his employees. He loves capitalism because it's something he can really take advantage of and benefit off of. People like this guy for whatever reason. LPA Film, Sabby, you need an animated pop-up reminder to like. Many channels have it. It's your logo or image that is set up to pop up in the lower right corner every few minutes as a reminder. I do need that. Thank you, LPA Film. I have to figure out how to do that. I don't know how to do that. A lot of the stuff that you see like on my channel with the graphics and stuff, yeah, that's not me. I don't have those skills. I don't have those skills. Liu Kang says police unions are the only unions that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party give a crap about. Right? Well said. Sebastian says Elon Musk is the son of a wealthy South African businessman who made his wealth from apartheid era businesses. What the fuck is he saying? Exactly. What is he talking about? This is who they're listening to.
in the case of Obama, you could have, he was sort of quite reasonable. And I think he took more of a view that, obviously you take the concerns of the unions into account, but there are bigger issues at stake. And unfortunately, Biden does not do that.
He brings up Obama, the same Barack Obama that chose to bail out Wall Street instead of the American people. When all of those people lost their homes in this country, that Obama, I really hope people are not going to him for political advice. I sincerely hope people are not going to this man for political advice. This is awful. But I wanted to show you that because I wanted to show you how they changed the narrative. Fox News left that part out. And they just said Democratic Party used to be the party of kindness. They let that part in, but they left out the part when he mentioned the unions. Now, why would they do that? I'm going to go to some of the comments and then I'll get to the next story. Zach Davis said, so he's a citizen. I thought he was from South Africa. He is from South Africa, but I believe he got his citizenship. Ware says, why doesn't Musk talk to Andrew Yang then? Okay. That's a good point, Ware Pilgrim. That's a good point. Mr. X said, yeah, people are going to him for political advice. It's terrible. It's terrible. He doesn't even understand how these parties work. It just, Andrew said, I think Biden went to Bill Clinton for political advice. Yikes. Yikes. Okay, it is now 6:30, so I do want to go ahead and get into the next story. So I don't know if you have seen this clip at all, but I talked about it briefly on my channel, but there's a portion here I want to show you, and I want to do a comparison between Bernie Sanders' response and Nina Turner's response. And both of these were recent. They happened, actually, the Nina Turner one happened this week. Bernie Sanders happened. No, both of them happened this week. Sorry. I want you to hear what Bernie Sanders says. Now, they're asked pretty much the same question in reference to who is holding things up in Congress and the Senate. And so let me go ahead and share this. And again, I do want to give a shout out to Case Study QB. Like I said, always doing phenomenal work. Now, this was an interview that Bernie Sanders had with Chuck Todd from Meet the Press. And I want you to hear, like, this is a pretty lengthy clip, but there's one part I do want to go to in particular when he starts to talk about who is to blame. And again, I told you guys this before. There's constantly a rotating villain, but we all know if they really wanted to get these things done, they would. So here we go. And I'm going to fast forward here. Oh, hush, Bernie.
Of the Senate, Senator.
Okay. Here we go.
Manchin and Senator Sinema, who have sabotaged the government.
The thing you said there was being addressed in Build Back Better. Okay, it wasn't as big as you wanted it. It was too big for some. But why do we have nothing? Right? That is the head scratcher here. Understand you don't have it all. Why is it zero? Why is there nothing?
Well, it should not be a head scratcher. You got two members of the Senate, Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, who have sabotaged what the president has been fighting.
That's a strong word,
sabotage. Well, you help me out with a better word here. You got 48 members of the Senate who wanted to go forward with an agenda that helped working families, that was prepared to take on the wealthy and the powerful. You got a president who wanted to do that. You had two people who prevented us from doing that. You have a better word than sabotage? That's fine, but I think that is the right word. And I think pressure has got to be put on the part of people in West Virginia, in Arizona, to say, you know what, why don't you stand up for ordinary Americans, not just your wealthy campaign contributors? Why don't you have the guts to take on the drug companies and the insurance companies and the fossil fuel industry?
So let me ask you, though, I've talked to Pennsylvania Democrats, and they also.
So Bernie Sanders went on to blame Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, which a lot of people have been following this playbook. They're blaming them because they're the easy people to point to blame. They are the rotating villains, although other people have been, guilty of holding up legislation and passing bills as well. I take you back to the vote for the $15 minimum wage. There were 8 Democrats who voted against that. It was not just Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, but they didn't focus on those other Democrats. They only focused on Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. So when I constantly hear them bring up these two names, you got to bring it back to what about the vote for the $15 minimum wage? So I think that's important to note. But I do want to make a comparison because Bernie Sanders, again, is blaming Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema. He's going to go on to blame someone else. And then I'm going to show you Nina Turner's response to a similar question. So here we go.
Blame Senators Manchin and Sinema. They don't blame the Republicans. Is that healthy for the party, that all of this concentration and should you have found something to do that isolates the Republicans rather than you guys ended up dividing the party against itself?
No, I don't see it that way, Chuck. I mean, I think on all of these issues, we had zero Republican support for the proposals in Medicare, in Build Back Better, that were enormously popular. So it's certainly not just Manchin and Sinema. They are 2 out of the 50 Democrats who went in the wrong direction, but every Republican did. So if you...
Okay, so here's the problem. When they bring up this talking point that the Republicans also did not support this legislation, let's all remember, they already knew they weren't going to support it. So there's that. This was already known. They already knew this. So why are they pretending to be surprised that the other Republicans did not choose to go along with it? What did you think was going to happen? Now, he's blaming Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, and the Republicans. Now I'm going to go to the clip with Nina Turner. Now, this was also this week. She was on CNN. And Case Study QB is just doing the damn thing because this clip is from him too. So shout out to Case. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Now, listen to the response that she gives. Again, similar question, but she mentioned something that Bernie Sanders leaves out. Here we go.
Why it's so important, though, if you think about this, Nina, and the idea of whoever's going to be the governor, for example, in this particular race, will be the one to set the Secretary of State, who will be in charge of overseeing elections in the state of Pennsylvania, which obviously was a battleground state and continues to be so. When you think about where the party is right now, I mean, it's one thing to say, yes, you can spin the straw into gold, but one of the preventing vehicles for that has been what's happened in the Senate. The administration has not been able to accomplish all that it wants to because of the roadblocks in the Senate. What do you say to that?
Okay, here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, you have Republicans who are just doing what Republicans do, being recalcitrant, especially on issues that help to lift people. And then you got two Democrats who are front and center, both Senators Manchin and Sinema, who are going totally in the opposite direction and have been the major roadblocks to President Biden's agenda. So it is vitally important that Democrats get some senators in that particular chamber who are going to stand up and fight for the agenda that the president is pushing. That is important. And then, Laura, another point to that, there are some other Democrats that's probably hiding behind Sinema and Manchin. We must.
What was that? Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. Here we go. This is the part that Bernie doesn't mention. In fact, nobody else is mentioning this. None of the other politicians are mentioning this. So here we go. One more time.
Stand up and fight for the agenda that the president is pushing. That is important. And then, Laura, another point to that, there are some other Democrats that's probably hiding behind Sinema and Manchin.
There you go. There are some other Democrats that are probably hiding behind Sinema and Manchin. And that's not the first time I've heard her bring that up. Now, I've been critical of Nina Turner, but she's the only one who is pointing this out. She brought this up on Breaking Points. She brought this up on, who was other show was that on? I forget, shoot. But I know she brought this up on Breaking Points. So I've heard her say this more than once. It's not just Sinema and Joe Manchin. Nobody else is telling you this. I don't mean like podcasters, but I mean like politicians, candidates. No one else is mentioning this. Now, Bernie Sanders is right there with them. I'm pretty damn sure Bernie Sanders knows that there's other people who are hiding behind Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin as well. But Bernie Sanders isn't going to say that. Bernie Sanders is only willing to go so far. He'll go to the brink, but then he'll always pull back a little bit so that the Democratic Party doesn't get too pissed off at him. Bernie is not dumb. Nina is probably able to say that because, again, she's not there. She's not in D.C. She's not a politician in D.C. right now. And this is something I've noticed, too, also with politics, with politicians here. Everybody talks a good game when they're running, but once they're in, you see them start to hold back. And the few that push and fight and decide to push back on the powers that be, those people are pushed out. Cynthia McKinney, Dennis Kucinich, Ralph Nader, the Democratic Party says you're gone. This is why I want people to know this is incredibly important. This is why you hear people's talking points change after they get in. Once they're part of the team, do you want to ride the bench or do you want to play? Most people want to play. Bernie could have said that same thing. I think I saw something from, give me just a second. Didn't I just see? I thought I saw Case Study QB. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Did you guys see Case in the chat? I thought I saw Case in the chat. This is why I need to star. Oh, there it is. Hi, Case. Shout out to Case Study QB. Much love to Sabby Sabs. Just watch your clip interviewing the mayor of Boston. Great job. Oh, thanks, Case. Yeah, that was an interesting day. Hello. Interesting day. But do you see what I mean? Now I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this video because I want you to hear the rest of her statement here.
We must get rid of the filibuster. Let's do that post haste. and then begin to work on the issues that will lift people in this country. It is time out for either party to play games with that. We can't get voting rights passed. Both parties should be in agreement that it is important to have access, unfettered access to the ballot box. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which many, whether they're Republican or Democrat, talk about the relationship that they had with the late congressman, how much they love and admire the late congressman, but yet and still it's like pulling teeth to have people who are elected, who get elected for a living, stand in the way of advancing, expanding, and protecting access to the ballot box. There should be no partisan argument about needing to ensure that people have that kind of access to the ballot box. The child tax credit, another example. It shouldn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, Laura. You want babies and children from all families across this country to be pulled out of poverty.
I want to comment on this point really quick here. The child tax credit. You know, it's interesting to me because Republicans say that they're the party of family values. Then why were they against the child tax credit? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. But they can vote to send $40 billion to Ukraine, to someone in another country. I want to comment really quick about Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin and their ability to fight. I keep hearing this phrase, they want people to come into the Senate that are willing to fight. How do you know what you're getting? Kyrsten Sinema, she was a Green. I don't know if everyone knows that. She was a former Green Party member. She was for $15 minimum wage. You can still find that on Twitter, by the way. She was for $15 minimum wage. She got in. She voted against it. And this is why I tell people it's not enough for a politician to say, yes, I support this issue. Everybody supports something when they're trying to win. It's not enough for a candidate to tell me that they support Medicare for all. That's not enough. What I want to know is, are you actually going to fight for it once you get there? Because I think we all saw that with the squad with Force the Vote. They were only willing to go so far. They weren't willing to fight for it. They weren't willing to sacrifice any committee seats, any assignments. That's the problem. So how do you know what you're getting? In the case of Joe Manchin, however, they knew who Joe Manchin was. See, this is the difference between those two people. Joe Manchin never supported Medicare for all, never said he did. He did not support $15 minimum wage. Didn't say he did. Kyrsten Sinema did. So even though I think there should be pressure put on both of them, I think they need to direct more of that pressure towards Kyrsten Sinema because she ran on it. That's a big part of the problem. So how do you know what you're getting nowadays? This is why I think there should be something that you have to sign, some way to really hold them accountable. And I'm going to talk about this later tonight because I've already seen red flags with John Fetterman and Summer Lee, and I'm going to call that out tonight. And I have financial receipts about John Fetterman. But we have to pay close attention to these warning signs, because if they're only willing to do so much right now before they get in, what are they going to be like when they get there? Let me finish this clip.
I don't get it. Or
well,
they
Nina,
gotta stop
I think the
playing games.
explanation people would say would be, their retort would be, those things are not the priority to the Republican Party in the same way that it is the Democratic Party. And you point out the idea of the roadblocks being two Democrats in part. We'll continue the conversation. Nina Turner and Scott Jennings, thank you so much.
Let's talk about something for a second. Let's talk about the class issue. I keep hearing people talk about these issues in terms of left versus right. And that's actually what they want us to do. In DC, they want us to do that. They want us to look at it as though that's a left-wing issue, that's a right-wing issue. The child tax credit is a class issue. Medicare for all is a class issue. Yet what we have allowed these two parties to do is they will take class issues and they will make them left or right issues. And so you may have someone who's conservative who probably does need Medicare for all. But because the media and because the politicians in DC have framed it in such a way, this is a far left policy. It's socialism. They'll vote against their own interest. I see this happen all the time. Look at the exit polls versus the votes. Why do you have people going in voting for Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders, but when they do the exit poll, they agree with all the policies that Bernie Sanders was running for? People vote against their own interests, and people try to tell me this. No, that doesn't happen. That's not a thing. No, it is. It's a thing. And sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. They allow themselves to be so conditioned and become brainwashed over left versus right that they miss the big picture, that a lot of these issues that we're fighting for are class issues. So if you're poor and you don't have any health insurance, or you're poor and you have minimum health insurance, which a lot of people do have, right? People are underinsured. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or you're on the right. Guess what? You're still poor. You still don't have health insurance. That's the point I want to get across to people. These are class issues. And I really want to take a step here and say this, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more tonight. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we did is we made them progressive issues when we should have labeled them as class issues. That's it. That's how we should have labeled them. Everybody should have health care in this country. This is a class issue. We didn't. And that's not necessarily us, those of us who are the voters, but this is another reason why if Bernie Sanders would have ran as an independent and he still had those same issues, I think it would have been a little bit different. But him deciding to go through the Democratic Party, obviously, most people who are Republican are going to vote against him just because he's not in the same party. This is why I continue to say the parties need to go. I wish people would stop doing that. Stop voting for someone just because they're in the same party. Screw the party. Look at the issues. Most people don't do that. You know how many people I've met, especially when I lived down south? You know how many people I met down south that said, I was born a Republican, I was raised a Republican, that's all I'm going to do. Don't look at any of the issues. Smear bills without actually looking at the bills. Don't look at any of the legislation. Make assumptions. Take talking points from Fox News without actually looking at the documentations themselves. These should not be. And this is one of those things where I wish Bernie Sanders, again, even with his framing sometimes, when he was interviewed and he was really pressed about those issues, this one Bernie Sanders should have came back in and said, these are class issues. We can't go back and change the past. At this point, it is what it is. But I'm telling you this because going forward, this is how I believe we should address these issues. When people criticize it and say it's a socialist, it's socialism, it's far left, we need to come back with these are class issues and then see how they respond. Because when you change the framing and you're talking to another person, if you're poor, you're talking to another person who's poor, and you break down the class explanation for them and help them get to realize you need this tangible too. Imagine what we could have done. Need to have more class analysis. We need to have more of that. And again, I blame the media because a lot of the talking points, this far left person, this far right person, this is socialism, this radical left. I mean, if you go to the global south and you bring up these same issues, living wage, healthcare for everybody, do you think most of the people in the global south are going to say no to those things? No, because they need it. They don't look at it the way that we do here. That's something we have to change. And that means even in independent media, we need to change our framing too. We need to stop calling it leftist policies and leftist issues. We need to call it class issues. This is straight up class analysis. And then you'll get to see who's who. Because now the people who are wealthy, they'll be the ones most likely to pull away, whether they're Democrat or Republican. And that's how you pretty much unite the people who are poor, working class, and middle class. We need to change that framing in independent media. All of us need to do that and try to move away from this whole left versus right framing. As long as we continue to do that, everyone else is going to do it too. That's just something to think about. I'm going to go to some of the comments really quick. LPA film, Summer Walker endorsed by Justice Dems. Have we forgotten Sabby's deep dive into Justice Dems? The co-opting, the money being poured in and from, the dressing of corporate candidates as leftists. Oh boy, LPA film, I have a lot to say tonight. You don't even know. Sorry. Cryptician. That's right, Sabby. Lots of people are blind party loyalists like that. And that plays a big part in why our government is so messed up and why the parties depend on deceiving loyalists into blindly. Yeah. People don't think for themselves. They just continue to follow, supporting them at their own expense. Absolutely. Absolutely. LPA film, I agree. RBN can start with this narrative now, and everyone who follows need to stay on messaging, not left issues, y'all, class. Yeah, and let's see who still goes along with that after the fact, because it's true. And that's not saying that if you are wealthy that you don't agree with these issues. That's not necessarily true. However, it seemed like a lot of the pushback that we're getting, like someone like Elon Musk, of course he's going to push back. He's a greedy billionaire. Same thing with Jeff Bezos, a greedy billionaire. Of course they don't want to pay more taxes. Someone was just asking me, is class where is it? Krona, is class a taboo in the US? I would say so, Krona. I'm not sure where you're located, but yeah, it's a something. Eric Gray said, our Black elders are terrible about party loyalty as well. That's true. That's a big part of it as well. You know, I think it's really hard to convince them. But again, if you already have those things, you know, some of the policies that Bernie Sanders had, if you were over the age of 65, do you need universal health care? No, you already have Medicare. Do you need free college? No, you're probably not trying to go to college after 65. You know what I mean? So that's a big part of it. But yeah, they have a lot of things. Brenda said the union movement is rising, so Elon Musk is afraid. Very much so. You know, how can you just be that corrupt? You don't even want to pay your fair share of taxes. You don't want your employees to be able to form a union. How greedy can you be? Krona, if class is taboo, how would we talk about it? I talk about it anyway. I mean, it's different. I'm on YouTube, but I talk about it anyway. Some people may not like to hear that, but it tends to be people who are wealthy that don't want to hear that message. People that don't want to share their money. But we really need to change the way we frame those issues. So going forward, and I'm gonna try to remember to mention this on my show tonight. Going forward, I'm going to start calling these issues class issues, not progressive issues, not leftist issues, class issues, because then I think that really takes the duopoly out of it and just gets people to focus on the class situation. I see CJ's in the chat. Boop, boop. MMR Enterprise, how do we get Joe Manchin out of Congress? You know, sadly, he's in the Senate Enterprise. But sadly, we had an opportunity to do that. The Democratic Party decided to go with Joe Manchin over Paula Jean Swearengin, which to me, that didn't make any sense. But of course, they went with the corporate candidate. And now who are they complaining about all the time? Joe Manchin. But no, if the Democratic Party would have gone with Paula Jean Swearengin, will we be hearing about this? JB. Sabby, I agree. I will do the same in framing it as class issues. This could be a new step, or I don't know. This could be a new step, you guys. Like, let's start framing it as class issues, because I'm already seeing, and I'm going to talk about this later tonight, but I'm already seeing people getting smeared as like right wingers just because they may agree with Tucker Carlson on like one thing, and like one thing for real, just one thing, already being smeared as like right wing. And I'm like, this is the problem. You know, like this is a big part of it. I'm just tired of the whole left right thing. Omar said the whole system needs to be abolished and campaign donations need to be made illegal. We really got to get money out of politics. That's a big part of the problem. I'm going to unstar these really quick because I forgot to unstar those. I don't want to get confused. Jonathan said, I want to make a spirited defense for Joe Manchin, Elizabeth Warren. I know, but that's what happens when you're on the same party. It's crazy. It's crazy. Cryptician said class issues, maybe that's a more effective way of promoting our views and vision and supportive reasons behind them. Yeah, I think so. I think so. We can try. It's a start, right? Got to start somewhere. All right, guys. Tonight, I will be back at 8 o'clock. I don't know why this thing is spinning on my computer. I'm so tired of it. Tonight, I'll be back at 8 o'clock. I'll be on my channel. I'm going to be discussing, we're going to go over some financials, some information that was sent to me yesterday, because we're going to talk about this. Tonight, I'll be discussing Breonna Joy is smeared. That'll be an interesting conversation. Again, this goes back to that whole right-left issue, which I think just needs to go away. I'm also going to discuss Summer Lee and John Fetterman concerns. So there's some receipts I want to show you tonight. I think people are getting a little too excited about these two. And I have some financials I need to break down for you, okay? Let me just put it that way. And of course, Whole Washington joins. So they're going to join me as well, at least for 30 minutes or so, to talk about their efforts on the ground. They're trying to get universal health care for everyone in Washington state. They finally got a ballot initiative number. So they just got to get the signatures. So they're going to come on tonight and explain all of that. And it is what it is. All right, guys, it is 7 o'clock. It's time for me to head out. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a good night and keep up the fight.